Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. So I want to correct something that I said, and it's not really a correction, it's just maybe I said something that people did not understand who are not as wise about business as Yogi. You know, he's smarter than the average bear. Now, I've said it in a different video, but of course that video didn't get a lot of views. So I'm going to say it here again, more clearly, more simple. If you want to start your own business, do not quit your job. Why? Because your job is going to fund that learning curve that you need to go into that business. And in fact, all of you should look at a job as doing that. Your job, if you have a job working for somebody else, it is there simply to fund you to get into your business. Everybody should be in business, everybody. And we're supposed to be creating this system in the United States where we have this cycle. You're born, you go to school, you get a job, you open your business. And that's how you live the rest of your life. So all of these jobs that these people are crying for are supposed to be for 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And those people are supposed to live at home, save up all of that money. And this was what black people really don't get. Save up all of that money, get the experience that they want in the field that they want. What did I just say? I just said, if you're going to open up a shoe shop where you create and repair shoes, you need to do what? You need to go work in a shoe shop that creates and repairs shoes. And I guarantee you, the interest in the actual business will get you hired even without any experience. Why? Because they know that you have a vested interest in their company. Why do I know that? Because the next step of this video is that I'm going to get you to buy a company that's already made. And the step beyond that is I'm going to teach you how to flip businesses. That is, buy a business, raise the revenue, and then sell it to somebody else for 10, 12, 50 times what you bought it for 12 months ago. Can you sell a business for 50 times what you bought it for in just a year? Yes, and I'm going to be able to show you that in a future video. Now, let's talk about that for a second. Why did I say you being interested in a business is going to get you hired even without experience? Because the business flipper comes in, he buys the business, he notices three things. The expenses are too high in the business. So he reduces the expenses, boom, that's more revenue. The marketing is terrible, or there's no marketing at all. He implements marketing for the business, boom, more revenue. And the third thing is he grades all of the staff, A, B, and C, and he gets rid of all of the C's. The C's are the people who simply punch in, do the bare minimum, and punch out. He gets rid of those people. They're not good for business. Who's the A and B? The A and B people are either the person who just simply has a fantastic work ethic, they come early, they do their job with a smile, and they punch out precisely on time so as not to go over labor. Or they want to do that business. They want to learn everything that they can about the business. They are a sponge, and everything that you tell them to do, they do. And you don't even have to repeat yourself. Why? Because they are interested in that business, and that is what I want you to be. You're working at a job. You want to eventually open the same exact thing. So I want you to be a sponge at your job. You clock in extra early. You study the business. Study procedures, study financing, study funding, study everything you possibly, anything that the owner is willing to tell you. And let me say this is where the failure of the high school, of the college education lies. It has almost nothing to do with the job or the business. So many people get out of college and they know nothing. This is why we have these for free internships. Why do we have the for free internships? So that you get to learn the business, and the employer is totally at ease with telling you about the business with him having absolutely no skin in the game as far as you're concerned. You're working there for free. It opens him up to tell you everything about the business that he possibly can. Now, he's thinking that you're gonna go get a job just like this somewhere else where they're gonna pay you $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. That's what he's thinking. How much better if you actually do work in that business and you're interested in it and he trains you also. So you get paid to learn on the job, to open up your business. Now, for the people who do internships, if the person isn't teaching you something, you need to go seek another internship. There's people who do multiple internships all the time. I mean, it is actually more, and some people do an internship for an entire year. I don't know how they do it. They belong to rich families, of course. And I even heard of the family putting them up in an apartment in Manhattan, and they're doing an internship, not making a dime. Supposedly the Democrats want to do away with that because it's bad for the intern. But of course the Republicans are like, no, or the conservatives, not the Republicans, because Republican no longer means anything. The conservatives are like, no, this is a fantastic situation, but the Democrats are saying the only people who can really do that are the rich people. You know what? Life is not equal. Not every black person grew up in mansions, speaks 5 languages, had servants, right? If everything were equal, I'd be living in a neighborhood, going to a public school, and being just as stupid as the next guy. I'm glad life isn't equal. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the opportunity that I had. I wouldn't have the experience that I had. But don't quit your job and pick the industry you want to go in. Go into the interview and say, I don't have any experience, but I am interested in this interview. And here is what I have learned about your company. That's how you show interest at an interview, right? I learned that this actually was established in 1865. It went to a new owner in 1920, which was your grandfather, and you inherited from your grandfather, and you are listed in the top 10 shoemakers in all of Las Vegas. Do your homework, do your research. That'll get you hired without any experience, without any education. Do you know that they hire people without quote-unquote college education for positions? If you look on any government websites, what does it say? A bachelor's in such and so or equivalent experience. So what does that mean? That means if your goal is to go work for a shoe design house that gets their materials from China, is put together in Ohio, and is sold in Manhattan, what do? You work your way through a whole bunch of stores to get to that. Everything in life is levels. Just like the video games where you level up, right? You start at the smallest shoe place you possibly can that's hiring. 6 months to a year, you jump to another one. 6 months to a year, you jump to another one. 6 months to a year, you jump to another one. And then maybe after 3 years, you put that on your resume and you go wherever you want to, because nobody's going to deny you've had 3 years. You work at that job and you're saving your money. If you can be living with your parents and who have something paid off, and let me just say this whole notion that your house is increasing in value, and if you didn't understand the whole idea of what a housing bubble is, houses do not increase in value. They simply weather inflation. That means that they go up minimally right under inflation. Because once you start calculating for inflation, a house that you bought for $5,000 in the 50s that now sells for $100,000 didn't go up in value once you calculate for inflation. In fact, it actually might have gone down. And that's what the bubble means. It means it inflated the price. If you jumped out of the house at that time, good for you. But if you jumped out of the house at the time, where are you going to live? Now you have to go and then buy an inflated price house. But if it's paid off, that's a potential of a whole bunch of credit that you now have. Same thing with a car. Once you get a reasonable car, pay it off, you have potential. You're reducing your expenses, you're living responsibly, as economically responsible to your family, and everything, all the money that is coming in then is going towards your wealth, your wealth, your wealth. You've eliminated the expense of a house, you've eliminated the expense of a car, and I can teach you how to buy a house without any money down. I actually already did a video on that. Nobody watched it. I don't know why. And then you let your children stay there for free to set their lives up so that they can do even better than you. And they do the same thing for their children, and so forth and so on, so throughout the generations. That's how black people can completely get out of this hole. We have poor people kicking out their children at 16, 18. Go on, get out of here. You ain't gonna sit up in my house. Well, first of all, if you instilled a worth ethic into your child, you should never ever touch him or her. If they want to stay there until they're 40, that's A-okay. That should be A-okay with you, because they're gonna create wealth in the family. They're gonna start a business, and it's gonna be a family business. But the very first thing that you must have for all of this is you must have an idea of what business you want to go into. With that idea in mind, I would write it on paper, do a little bit of research on it. How is it trending? Do you think in 10 years it's still going to be trending? What about 20 years? Is it something that people need? Is it some sort of future technology that people just aren't taking advantage of today, but people will grow into it if they simply knew about it, and you could be the catalyst for being the person to really bring that to the nation's attention, right? You could probably completely change. With new technology, you can completely change an entire industry. Do you know HBO was fought tooth and nail? Hollywood hated HBO. The very idea. Now, today, we don't even think anything of HBO. We think it's completely normal. But that was not the case. And there's all sorts of stuff like that, where there's a new technology, and look at the internet. Look at television. The inventor of television, once he saw what they did with television, hated television. But we don't think anything of it today. He saw entertainment before television. Then he saw entertainment after television, and he hated it because that was based on how he felt entertainment should be before. Entertainment, before television, was very sort of elite, very sort of educational. They thought it was impractical you couldn't just be silly, because silly doesn't come across in a newspaper. It doesn't, right? How many times have you written something online and somebody got insulted and you're like, I wasn't meaning that as an insult, I was meaning it as a joke. So they couldn't be silly in a newspaper, or they could be silly in a play, but people would say that's a waste of time. Why would I go see some trash? And can you imagine? In the United States like that, where they would walk out of a show if they had silliness in it? They didn't have time for that. They spent 2 hours to get to the damn theater. They don't have time to sit up there and watch something stupid. They wanted stuff to stimulate their mind because they had really mundane lives. And being silly didn't elevate anything. It didn't take away the pain from the mundane life. Now we think being silly is great entertainment, and still it's not, right? Everybody's turning stupid, right? But maybe you can look into some new technology and revolutionize an entire industry. But that's how you do. You have to first have the idea, then you go into that industry as a job, and then you open up your own business. Now, before reinventing the wheel, which is, creating a brand new Apple, there's some things around the black neighborhood that needs to be done. We need to have clothes. We need to have fresh food. We need to have gasoline. We need to have hardware stores. We need to have beauty stores that don't promote this fake idea that white people are the ultimate in beauty, which they are not, because white people are faking it just as much as the black people. Isn't that ironic? All the white girls in these commercials, movies, videos are wearing fake hair, and it's not their hair. Do you really think that there's natural? You want to see natural and white? Go watch a European movie. The Europeans don't have this idea that we need to put somebody dazzlingly beautiful and fake in a movie. They're trying to actually tell stories, even if they're silly stories. So we need beauty salons, beauty parlor, whatever, barbershops. We're doing good on barbershops, but we need more barbershops. People need to go into business. We need to be autonomous. There should be no reason that a black person living in a lower middle class, or even upper middle class neighborhood should need to go 5-10 miles to go buy something. And if you need to talk to City Hall to get stuff rezoned, that's what you have to do. There's a lot of black people who just give up. Oh, that's too hard. Oh, that takes too much time. Oh, what was that? You're learning from your parents. And more than likely, your parents said, you're 18. You're not going to sit up here and go on, get it. What does that mean? What does that teach you? That means you need immediate. Everything has to be immediate. This Apple generation with 5-second commercials is also teaching you immediate. What's funny is people don't walk out of the doctor's office after waiting for 5 minutes, huh? That's the real world. You wait for your doctor, you wait for your dentist, you wait for a plumber. You're standing in 3 feet of water in your basement. Things take time and they take work. If you have a really big problem, the plumber comes over. He's got Wade boots. He's upside down under your sink fixing it. Things take work and time. Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.